I'm here today with Alexa von Tobel, who's the CEO and founder of LearnVest, a financial planning company dedicated to bringing financial advice to people nationwide and revolutionizing the way Americans interact with their money. And Alexa, cannot thank you enough for your time. Alexa, the way I like to start every program is for the people I interview to talk a little bit about where they grew up and how they got to where they are today.
How much time do you have? So I grew up in Jacksonville, Florida. You know, having older brothers, I think, was really important for me because they, always kept me running, and trying to keep up with them was pretty fun. And so from there, I went to Harvard undergrad, where I studied psychology, and I worked in the happiness lab and did some fun things like that. I'd actually gone to work at Morgan Stanley as a trader and had gotten into Harvard Business School as a senior in college. So I ended up going back to HBS in 2008. Heart of the worst recession in 81 years.
Sure.
And my idea for LearnVest, which was to bring financial planning to the masses, make it affordable and consumable, so you could just get really great advice with someone not trying to sell you products. Won a few competitions, and as a result, I ended up doing the very normal thing in the heart of the worst recession in 81 years, which is I dropped out of business school.
Let me ask you, when did you came out of school and you went to work at Morgan Stanley on the prop desk, which had to be kind of interesting.
Yeah.
What was that experience like?
Again, I'd always been interested in finance. I love hard work. I love sort of the intensity of the markets and following them. So I went for about a year and a half. And I think what I ultimately realized when I was there was an important time for me, that I knew that I always wanted to do something that I felt really had an impact of some kind. Maybe in retrospect, growing up in a family of all people devoted to medicine, where you're actually really focusing on helping people, I kind of felt like something was missing for me. And as a result, I realized I felt like I was an entrepreneur. I started kind of putting those sort of ducks in a row. And then I also realized that for me, what did matter was, you only get to live once. I wanted to do something that I felt could make a difference. And it just came from a pretty simple, genuine place. And as a result, trading just wasn't the thing that was going to get me out of bed every day, leveraging sort of my best self. So I started writing a business plan. Actually, when I was there, I wrote about a 75-page business plan, which no one read really but me. And it was on just why is financial planning hard and expensive and not easy to get access to and daunting. And it's this topic that, we make 6 to 10 financial decisions every day. Money is everywhere. It doesn't go away. If you're 20, if you're 90, it's every part of, daily life for all of us. And it's just such a big lifeline that why can't we empower people in their wallets? Big goal, big problem, I believe. And so that's kind of how it started.
Do you think it's easier today being a female entrepreneur or harder?
I don't even think about it, to be honest. I don't think about the fact that I'm young, female, blonde, first-time CEO. I think that if I spend a lot of empty calories really burning thinking about that, as opposed to thinking about what are the best decisions I need to make, what's the hardest strategy that I need to actually employ, what are my competitors doing, what should I be thinking about, that's the most important stuff to think about. So that's where I spend a lot of my time. But I am a young female CEO, first time, and I think that so far so good.
So how are young millennials handling their finances today compared to past generations?
Amazing question, Skitty. It's just so different. If you think about my grandfather, he came from really, really simple upbringing in Indiana. I literally remember going with my grandfather as he would make financial decisions, and everything was in cash. You can't make that many financial mistakes if everything is paid for in cash. Mm-hmm. Fast forward, 1970s, more credit cards are really introduced. American Express, the first card was a charge card. You fast forward to 2000, almost the whole country gets access to credit. Student debt, right? We as millennials are entering the workforce with, on average, about $30,000 of student debt. We have $1 trillion of student debt across the country. You then take into that, so credit card, student debt, your mortgage. It used to be 8% of what your income is, or maybe 1 times your income. Now it's multiples. You can get a mortgage that's 4 or 5 plus times your income. And so the concept of leverage, the ability to put more leverage on your individual balance sheet, has grown. In many ways, there's good aspects of that, but it also creates greater complexity for if you don't really understand some of the decisions that you're taking on, if you don't understand some of the risks, you could put yourself in a tough financial position if, God forbid, a curveball happens. And then the final sort of layer on that is actually retirement, right? You used to get Social Security and you get a pension from your company and you were good to go. You were going to be covered, and the average life expectancy was 78. Well, Skitty, today, the average life expectancy is in your 80s, late 80s, early 90s. And so you moved from the defined benefit plan to the defined contribution plan, your 401k, which meant all of the responsibility got put on us. So for millennials, compared to our grandparents, a grandparent couldn't make a lot of mistakes. It was all cash. For that millennial, one, they're entering the workforce behind $30,000 of student debt, $4,000 to $5,000 of credit card debt, plus all the greater complexity of being able to make more mistakes than ever with no financial education. I went to Harvard twice, didn't matter. I literally didn't learn a minute of financial education about personal finance. And with rules changing every year, we're really just in a more vulnerable position than ever.
Are you concerned today about millennials and their future prospects? Because it's very hard to make money. It used to be interest rates used to be a lot higher. If you saved money, it was easy to get an income flow from that money. Today, that's completely different. A lot of people are investing in stocks. What's your view on the future for our youth?
Well, first, I'm incredibly optimistic for our youth. I do believe that they're burdened with financial issues that are incredibly important to get ahead of. That said, I believe what's happening in technology and innovation and the opportunity to create wealth is enormous. And so I'm really optimistic about a lot of the things that millennials will face. I believe that there's so many important ways that you can create value for your family that you didn't have 10 years ago. But that said, I think the basics of financial planning are critical. You need appropriate insurance. You need to understand that socking away money for your retirement, compounding interest, it's not magic, it's math. People call it the eighth wonder of the world. If you start early, you will have enough money, but it's actually a topic for your 20s, not a topic for your 40s. You need to make sure you understand the concept of investing and knowing when to take appropriate risk and what that looks like. And then frankly, the biggest thing is actually understanding what your means really are. So living beneath your means is something we all hear all the time. But actually defining what your means are, that's the gap. That's the gap that people aren't actually having someone fill in. And that's the big thing. You need to understand what your means are. And you need to understand that if you always live within your means and save, and that's a real muscle you build, you're going to be financially okay if you actually get ahead of that.
Got ya. In terms of starting your company, you've gone out and you've raised over $70 million on your own. That's unbelievable. You created a business plan. How did this whole thing really evolve?
So first, I think it all started with, I was client number one. Truly was, there I was, 23, 24 years old saying, I just want someone to sit me down, tell me exactly what to do for my finances, tell me exactly, don't do this, do these three things, and to show me that I'm going to be financially okay if I do them. And I wanted to go to someone who wasn't going to sell me a product or take advantage of me or slip in a hidden fee that I wasn't aware of. And I just felt like that seemed fair. So that's where the whole idea started. I really was, necessity is the mother of all invention. From there, we're fortunate that the concept of LearnVest, disruptive financial planning, make it affordable to the masses. A third of the country gets their husbands and wives online. Why wouldn't you get your financial planner online? Why wouldn't financial planning not be $5,000, 1% of all of your assets to only manage your investment, as opposed to $500 for the year and you get your own dedicated financial advisor who doesn't sell you anything, tells you what to do. Every household in America, particularly the ones that don't have money, should get access to this. And I think that, people really saw it's like TurboTax for financial planning for the country. It's not a crazy big idea. It's just a simple idea. And we got a lot of support behind it. So raising $70 million, 70, almost 5, was easier as people got to sort of see my vision laid out in front. And the hard part was actually letting people see exactly what I thought the product should be, which is it's a simple financial plan we build for you, and then you get support from a human.
Alexa, what are some of the principles that you live your life by?
I really believe in surrounding myself with people that are brilliant and smarter than me and in a position where they're going to really question everything that we're doing, so we constantly are getting where we need to go. And then I always joke, I have a motto every morning, which is get up, dress up, show up. get up early. I'm an early bird, get started. You can get a lot done before 9 a.m. Dress up, which is every day come with sort of your best self, and then finally show up. And the show up part for me is show up with a great attitude. I think a really optimistic, positive attitude can go really, really far every day because it's infectious and people get excited about doing things that are big. So dream big, hard work every day, and keep your head down. I will say you get more humble as it goes, as you get deeper, as the problem gets bigger, as the team gets bigger, and then get up, dress up, show up.
Again, I'm here with Alexa von Tobel, who's the CEO and founder of LearnVest. Alexa, cannot thank you enough for your time. Really, really appreciate it.
My pleasure.